not enough just to say we're going to follow God, but we actually rise in our black divinity. We become that which we're supposed to follow. For those of you who can deal with the heavyweight nature of that responsibility. I'm very blessed to be here standing before you. Some of these people I know, and more importantly, you know me. It ain't enough to know. It ain't enough to know Dr. Lackey if Dr. Lackey don't know you. It ain't enough to know Dr. J if Dr. J don't know you. It ain't enough to know Minister Abram if Minister Abram don't know you. Is that right, Mr. Fleming?
That's right.
That's right. I don't want to just know you. I want to be known by you. That's difficult to do when you haven't centered on who you are as yourself. As far as me, I've dedicated my life to the liberation and salvation of the mind, body, and soul of the African man, woman, and child. That is a heavyweight responsibility. And what it means is that I have to tap into something inside of me and allow it to shine forth from me. For me, that is a KRST, Christ consciousness. All of us are not ready to tap into that because we're not ready to take divine personal responsibility. One aspect of divine personal responsibility deals with knowing thyself, to love thyself, to save ourselves. Everybody say, know thyself.
Know thyself.
To love thyself.
To love thyself.
To save ourselves.
To save ourselves.
We can start with the end and go back to the beginning because the saving of ourselves is oftentimes very difficult when we don't know what self we are. You're very rarely going to save something that you don't love or, in this case, value. Most time, if you have to choose between three things drowning, the thing that you would choose to save is the one that you value the most, not necessarily the one that's the closest to you. That's typically true. There are some exceptions, and they have to do with, of course, your life, because typically you value your life more than any other life or any other thing that's drowning. So if you value your life more than the thing that you value the most, which might be your baby or some gold or a yacht or some hair, maybe a new book, some new shoes, maybe that fabulous belt or dress she has on, you might let that go because your life is more important. But if you value that thing more than perhaps you can value your life, you will give everything you have to save that child, that loved one, that grandmother, that precious amulet, ring, or jewel. You'll give life and limb to go save that thing because you value it. Well, how many of us value the black community enough to give life and limb to save it? I know you're not going to take time, waste time on these ignorant, no good, backwards black folks. These folks are in the dirt. They are beneath us. I have risen and got my degree. I can speak the English, the King's language, to the umpteenth degree. My mother makes no sense to me anymore. I want to move away from her. She does not speak the English correctly. The little storefront business she had, them nickels they put together to bring me through school, to hell with them. I don't owe them nothing. They don't speak right. They don't smell right. They don't spell right. And their children are just running around wild. Damn black folks. I speak the English so well and I read so many books, I done forgot who the hell I am because I never knew who I was. So I cannot properly love the self that I do not know. Who am I? This is a question that was asked in the 1960s. Who am I? It was a repeat of a question asked in the 1920s. Who am I? Which was a repeat of a question asked in the 1880s. Who am I? Which is a repeat of a question asked at the end of the Civil War. Who am I? Believe it or not, know thyself, Sitan Nothai, Timet Nose is on the top of the walls of every intellectual center of deep thought. Sometimes called philosophy in the Greek world, but in the Kemetic world, it deals with the temples of higher learning. These temples were set up so that black people would not have to repeat the mistakes of black people who had made mistakes in previous generations. We call them today schools. Ifet Beset, the school at Karnak, the first university system set up with over 80,000 students at one time. And these priests, these majestic people along the Nile Valley high culture and civilization, which is 4,100 miles of expanse, spread themselves all along the areas that they call the nomes, which are provinces. And each province had a head or a titular head, and today we would call them gods. But in fact, they were statues. They were representations of what that area was prominent or known for. And if you don't understand the whole, you will get caught up in the separation of parts, and because you don't recognize what the whole is, your mind gets fixated on parts, so you cannot properly value the wholeness of the almighty divine being that resides in you. Because you're focusing on the little things as though they're separate from the larger things. You can never reach success with that mentality. Although it is true, you cannot eat an elephant in one bite. You must eat it one bite at a time. It does help to realize that you are biting an elephant. I want to make a little bit of sense before we talk about what's on my shirt, which is respect our black dollars. As you see, I can go on and on about the Nile Valley high culture and civilization, but it won't change your situation today. I could go on and on about Maxwell's success, but it won't change your situation today. I can talk a little bit about what Lackey talked about with his cotton picking, and I spent 2 whole minutes picking cotton. We rolled up on the side, and I said, I got to go try it. I got on out, and it was hot. I stepped out, and I touched that cotton, and the cotton looked so soft. And it's not till you reach down and really go for it. You know, because when you get the first one, it ain't nothing, see. But then when you go for the second one, it's like you have to run through the little leaf. But then when you actually get in there to go get it, like, oh, this ain't nothing, this is easy. And now you got something on the cotton, a little bit of blood. And when you see those old women stooped over, and those older men stooped over, and they get in that cotton, and they got a whole roll to go. Lord have mercy.
Come on.
And you got to drag that sack, and they made us put our babies on the back of the sack. So that means that as soon as you had the baby, you didn't get no pamper time. You had to get right back out there and get it. So we got some broad back women now, some strong women. They said the difference between a white woman and a black woman is a black woman can't afford to be lazy. I don't want to stay on that subject too long. Respect our black dollars cannot begin without the first respect of our black selves. So knowing thyself has to be a part, not the totality, but a part of respecting our black dollars. Because you can't respect your black dollars if you don't respect your black what?
Self.
That's right. But if you don't know yourself, how can you properly love yourself? Why would you give your economic dollar to go save these black people that are worthless, that are beneath you, that are behind, that got all these children running around? Now, you might have used to be one of those children. Come on, man. Your mama might not have made a plan to have you when she had you. She might not have made a plan. They talk about teenage pregnancy, but Lord have mercy, you don't know your own history unless you have checked it out deeply. You might find out you're the oldest child, but you're not actually the oldest child.
Come on now.
You might find out that your daddy kind of, sort of your daddy, in a way. But we don't talk about that.
Right.
Because we don't have family reunions. Right. Because you too good for them now. You know that? You go to school for 6 years, get a degree in sociology to become a social worker. And you have to take all these practicums. You have to take all these modifications. You have to learn this language. And learning the language, they call away the different aspects of self that you brought with you from your project, single-parent home environment. And as you learn this new language, you start believing it because you forgot who you were because you never knew who you were. And then after 6 years, you get your master's degree. You become a social worker because you care so much. Now here you are, you come from a single-parent reality or a broken home reality. You want to fix that, so you became a social worker. You cared. Your heart was bleeding. You wanted to fix that. In the process, you have to do some rules. There's some mandates. One of the mandates is if you catch a man in the home, you have to report the woman for having the man in the home. The woman who has the TANF children had to kick the man out of the home in order to receive the benefits to raise a child. And there was a point when black women chose the economic benefits, because anytime you place an economic incentive by way of the government, the people are going to move in that direction. So you can't say it's by accident that this is happening. And since the man had to get out of the house, she had another man come in the house while one man was getting out the house. And then things happened because when men and women come together, other children come forward. So now children got different daddies in the same house, even though it's the same mother. We don't want to point a finger at the mother, but the mother feels shame. She tries to cover it up. Now you've been to school for 6 years, and guess what you have to do? The same damn thing that the government wanted to do in the first place, break up the family. So now after 6 years, you become an agent of the same thing that you were supposed to be trying to avoid when you got in this position. 6 years. Now, is that part of loving yourself? But did you know that that was going to happen? Did you know that that came with that? No. You were innocent because of your ignorance. But with respect to our black dollars, you can't fawn ignorance anymore. Come on. Because you have an opportunity to save your whole community. Right. You never have to become a member of Respect Our Black Dollars. You never have to come to none of these meetings. You have to be with none of these ignorant folks, these backward folks, these red, black, and green folks. You don't got to be down with that. You don't got to choose Malcolm over Martin. I mean, it don't hurt to listen to Battle of the Bullet. But you don't got to choose one over the other. You don't got to be out there marching and protesting. You don't got to be down with that. All you have to do is support quality, black-owned businesses, first and foremost, especially in groups of 7 or more. That's right. Support quality, black-owned businesses, first and foremost. Air mask, air mask, air mask. First and foremost. Who? First and what?
Foremost.
First and what?
Foremost.
First and what?
Foremost.
Where the mask go first?
Self.
Where the mask go first?
Self.
Where the mask go first?
Self.
I got to drill this in because I know you hate yourself. Where the mask go first?
Self.
I got to drill this in because you want to save the other people first. Where the mask go first?
Self.
You want to send the Korean children to school. Where the mask go first?
Self.
No, the Arab children deserve to have SUVs. Where the mask go first?
Self.
Oh, no, those Indian people that's near Pakistan that deserve to have the nice triple mansion homes. Self. Who do you put the mask on first?
Self.
Why? No, you don't know. The answer didn't come immediately. That ain't the first thing you thought of. That was not the picture on your wall. You said that because you thought it would be the right answer, not because you felt it. Because you haven't been programmed to feel it. You've been programmed to hate your black self. And I can prove it in a very harsh way. I love my black hair. I love my black skin. I love my black self. How many of y'all was raised on that? Loving your black hair.
No, I wouldn't.
Loving your black skin. Loving your black self. In magazines? Were you raised on that in magazines?
No.
Were you raised on that in cartoons?
No.
Were you raised on that in television?
No.
Were you raised on that in the movies?
No.
Were you raised on that in the music videos?
No.
Look at it now.
Were you even raised on that in church?
No, sir.
Does the God you worship look like you? Or your grandma?
Look at it.
Come on now. I'm not making this up. I know what kind of programming you got. A program has a programmer, and you are the program me.
Right.
And the program that comes in your head was in the mind of the programmer. What program are you on? Have you removed your will and relationship?
Come on
No,
now.
you have not. You didn't even know it was there. Because everybody else had it, you thought it was normal. If everybody walked backwards is normal, right? If you turn around and become awakened and you start walking forward because legs were made to walk forward, then what happens? You become crazy.
Yep.
You become abnormal.
Right.
Dr. Lackey is abnormal. He walks around campus, shaking hands, hugging people, saying hello. The other professors don't do that. They go hiding. Social outcast professors. You know, I was smart when I came up and nobody liked me, and now I'm smart, I'm going to beat you up in the classroom, but when I step out the classroom, I don't quite fit in, so I'm aloof, and therefore you're going to respect me. My name is Dr. Such and Such. And you're going to respect me and call me doctor, because I didn't get the respect that I deserved. I'm tired of bumping my head on the glass ceiling with unintelligent men, and they don't never call me doctor, so you are going to call me doctor. Are you exhibiting the characteristics that earn you the title of doctor without you having to make people call you doctor? I'm going to overlook all of that. I'm going to move away from my mother. I'm going to change myself around, not strategically like Dr. J would do, but just because I don't really love myself, because I don't know myself.
Look at it, man.
So I can't save myself properly. That's why I don't support quality black-owned businesses, first and foremost, especially in groups of 7 or more.
Look at it.
I've never been exposed to that knowledge before. No one has come to my church, no one from my pulpit, No one that is a politician or a business person or a professional has ever given me a plan that was practical and pragmatic for the mass of black people as it relates to economics. The most financially literate person that I have in the room is economically illiterate. I want you to really think about that. Folks who can master taxes. They can master the stock market to some degree. Masters of real estate. They can come in here with a prime America plan that will blow you away. Show you on the list in the pyramids and the graphs how if you donate a certain amount of money over a certain period of time, you can get the residual income and the one of the world what they call compound interest. And through that, over a period of time, you can become a millionaire in 20 years. They'll show you that. And it works. If you work the plan will work. It's a lot. I don't know anybody in here that doesn't have a plan that if you don't work that plan, it will work. You can work a bad plan and it'll work if you got enough people working on it. How about working a plan on supporting quality black-owned businesses first and foremost, especially in groups of 7 or more? Do you need any new money to do that? Do you need a grant to do that? Do you need a scholarship to do that? Why haven't your preacher told you that? It's in the Bible. Why haven't your imam told you that? It's in the Quran. Why haven't your Buddhist teacher taught you that? It's in their holy book. It's in the Bhagavad Gita. It's in the Keeper Nagast. Why haven't they taught you that? Why hasn't no black person come to you and taught you about supporting quality black-owned businesses, first and foremost, especially in groups of 7 or more? The last time you had that lesson, Garvey taught you. The last time you had that lesson, you had Bishop Henry Hardy Garnett taught you that. The last time you had that lesson, you had it from the founders of the AME Church, which didn't begin as a church, it began as a mutual aid society. The last time you had that lesson, it was Elijah Muhammad teaching you that lesson. All the people I'm talking about were outside of the mainstream. No one who was inside the mainstream has a plan for you except non-economic liberalism. Go look it up. That means you can get things, but you'll never be free. You will always have your hand out instead of your hand up. You will maintain dependence upon your oppression, which promotes the interests of the status quo. And that's great if you are on the top of the status quo. But it's horrible if you are being oppressed by the status quo. What group of people do you come from? And which one do you worship? Do you worship your oppressor? If you're trying to tell me no, I can make you slap yourself.
Look at it now.
I know what programming you got. You can't get around this. You can run away from it, you can stay in denial, but the civil rights all-star train done hit the edge of his track. If you want to stay going in circles, stay on that merry-go-round. That train, that's on the end. You had 8 years of Obama. You got your man. But what did you get as a collective entity of people?
Nothing.
You got sent backwards. Now, if that happened with your Messiah, them white folks was calling him the Obama Messiah.
Wow.
These were just general-hearted, collegiate white people. We ain't talking white devil stuff. We talking just white people. They talking, these ain't Klansmen. These ain't the folks that's hating on you. These ain't these folks. These are just general white people. They called him the Obama Messiah. And they came out and voted for him in droves. Did you know over 40 million more people voted in this election than voted with Obama? And that was considered a record turnout when Obama got in. Over 40 million more people came out. Now I know half of them was dead, but they still on the road. I know they was kicking folks out in North Carolina and Florida, but they still was on the road.
Yes, sir.
Now I know all the black people that supposed to come out and vote, they came out to vote. They voted for the Green Party though. They voted for something else. I'm just saying, we idolize some people. Some people that idolized Hillary Clinton didn't even know they was doing it. They declared that one man was evil. What man was that?
Oh.
Did I say that? Did I put that in your mind? Did I put that there? They said one man was evil. So if this man is evil, if he's evil, and since he's singular, he becomes the evil. The evil. Then, see, he quick. Now, by proxy, in our ignorant innocence, that means we're naive. Say ignorant innocence.
Ignorant innocence.
By proxy, if he is the evil, then who is his opposition?
You good?
What is what? So if you are good, what does it mean if you're not just the competition? Not just the opposition, you are the opposition. If this is the evil, what does that make her?
Good.
The good. Well, the evil is the devil. And the good becomes, by proxy,
Wow.
God. So you have been worshiping your oppressor out of ignorance. And we did it with Obama, and we weren't alone. We had a whole history tied up into that. We had grandmothers getting sold on the auction block. We had families being split up connected to that. We had the opening and the rise of the black church connected to that. We had Church of Christ Holiness, Church of God in Christ connected to that right here in Mississippi. On Church Street, Mount Ham, right here in Mississippi. You had multiple church movements growing out of this space. You had a Mound Bayou, which I'm going to talk about later with the Taborian Hospital. I'm saying you had movement going on for black people. All that was connected to Barack Obama. So it makes sense why we might have got caught up in that. But then we did the same thing with Hillary Clinton. Because if he's the evil, she becomes by proxy the good, then that means you've made him the devil, the antithesis of everything that is good, and you've made her God. Am I correct about your programming? I know it hurt though, don't it? But do that stop you from supporting quality black-owned businesses first and foremost, especially in groups of 7 or more? Do you need anything new for that? Let me go to number 2. Promoting black economic community control models. What institution that you are a part of, your family, your religious institution, and your educational institution? 3 primary institutions available in all societies regardless of geography, space, or time. Is that correct, Dr. Hackett? I mean, Dr. Lackey. I almost called him Dr. Hackett. Dr. Lackey. Every group of people that is a group of people has 3 institutions in common. Family, education, and spirituality, which often goes in the form of religion. Religion represents a codification of spirituality. Okay? Every group of people has these 3 things. There are other institutions inside of society as well. I want to know which one of them have promoted black economic community control models to you. Cricket time. Now, on one hand, they haven't told you about supporting quality black-owned businesses first and foremost, especially in groups of 7 or more. Number 2, they haven't promoted black economic community control models. Mound Bayou, where the Taborian Hospital was an area that had a cotton gin or 2, that had an economic driver, that had all the people coming around to that one area, that was self-sufficient, that was all black on purpose, had a hospital. Now the elders of that town have to leave that town because they don't have their own hospital, and they have to go out of town to go spend money out of town when they have a first-rate health care center right there. But he can't receive the funding because the supervisors know that becomes competitive to the surrounding area. They want to keep the people dependent. They want to break the backs of those self-sufficient, independent people. I'm talking about black economic community control models. If you've never been presented with that, then you don't even know what love looks like. Because if your oppressor gives you everything that you need and you are dependent upon your oppressor for all the things that you need and the things that you want, that means that your oppressor controls your desires and controls your stomach. So your oppressor becomes God to you whether you want him to be or not. Because one of the signs of God, the early signs of God, is Lord. And Lord is symbolized by a bowl. And that bowl is something that you hand to people and they have to come to in line to get access to. Another word is neb, which deals with gold. So if you combine a bowl and gold together, then you have something that is powerful. Because one thing is something people want, and the other one is something that people need. If I got a bowl that's full and a handful of gold, I am your Lord. I become your Lord. If I'm not economically independent as a community, I cannot properly love myself. Number 3 is spur the development of a black business infrastructure. These are the 3 primary objectives of Respect Our Black Dollar. If you got a little handout we have, you see a list of books there. With Maggie Anderson's Our Black Year. With Amos Wilson's Blueprint for Black Power and Black on Black Violence. You're going to see Assimilationist Fantasies on there. You're going to see Blackonomics on there. Some of the other books that we make reference to are James Klinger's Blackonomics, also Juwanza Kunjufu's Black Economics. Also Claude Anderson's Powernomics. All of these books deal with black economics. They promote the same thing that we're talking about right now. If you want an articulation, the best articulation of what we stand for as Respect Our Black Dollars is Malcolm X's Blueprint for, Ballot of the Bullet. That's the best articulation. The best delineation, which is the written version, is Amos Wilson's Blueprint for Black Power. In my opinion, Amos Wilson is the most comprehensive, solution-oriented scholar on the African-American experience. I need to transition from Respect Our Black Dollars, which I hope you have some level of clarity on. You can go to the Facebook page. You can come on and tune into the radio show. We come on every Wednesday, WNPR 90.1 at 8 o'clock. Also have a Saturday show at noon on the same station, 90.1. We've been going for 3 years now, and it's limited in terms of the effectiveness because we have yet to have one church invite us to ask us what the principles of Respect Our Black Dollar is about. And the truth be told, is the National Baptist Convention, or the Church of God in Christ, was to adopt the 3 primary objectives of Respect Our Black Dollar. Black people could be free in 30, 60 to 90 days. Not because they come to the meetings, because they adopt the principles and implement them. Because no group which wishes to provide solutions for black people's problems can do so without those 3 elements. Supporting quality black-owned businesses first and foremost, especially in groups of 7 or more, promoting black economic community control models, and spurring the development of a black business infrastructure. And we got a list of books and lectures that will help guide you into that if you need to be convinced any further that you do not know a thing about loving yourself in the truest and most collective sense. Part of loving ourselves deals with something called the Taborian Urgent Care Center, which is in Mound Bayou, Mississippi. Raise your hand if you've heard of Mound Bayou, Mississippi. That's great. So we, at Respect Our Black Dollar, have teamed up with some of the local warriors in that area to launch a $1 million $5 donors. $1 million $5 donors. So we want 1 million people to give $5 because until you pay your own way, you can't say what you want to say. And there are some people who are afraid for black people to be free. And they will pay money to certain black people to make sure that those black people don't help other black people who want to be free. Because that example is fearsome. See, when she talk about sleeping in the church, she talk about holding on to a dream. But not just a dream, a vision. Because when you put a plan to a dream, you get a vision. But having the vision is not enough because you got to not just plan the work, you got to what? Work the plan, right? So when she talks about sleeping on the church, she talked about sleeping in the church after making the effort and not getting the desired result. She learned and she launched herself out there again. She learned, launched herself out there again. When my sister says, honey, I don't know if you need to quit that job or not. You need to hold on to that thing. And then she said, wait. I'm already, this is deja vu. I already had this. This already clicked in. Wait. I got to fight that old programming. I got to move into the new. I've already had this revelation. And she drops her ego. She sheds it. She whittles it down. And now she comes and she says, baby, you can have all of me because I'm trying to be free. And then she launches herself into the arms of faith. And then they operate as a team now. They reunited and it feels so good. What he said, we're going to have congruence because I'm going to put my will in God's will. When she launched herself in her husband's arms, she wasn't launching herself in this man's arms. She said that she had a vision, a word from Almighty God come through him that he didn't even know he was giving her because she had it written in her journal. What if she hadn't written it down? She would have known to get the confirmation, the spiritual confirmation to move on that. So when he came to her and said, baby, I'm about to quit my job, that would have been too much for her. She would have still relied on the old programming. She would not have been able to step out in faith 1 year later to become a husband and wife couple, a wife and husband couple, to stand out there and empower other people. He's talking about 10 million. That's an artist's dream. Only artists think like that. You know, artists got a different part of their brain that develops. Other people don't have it. He's talking foreign language. He's trying to walk forward. She's still walking backwards or sideways. And he's trying to turn her to walk forward. But he don't turn her. The Spirit of God in him turns her. Because his spirit wants to be liberated, not just free. Free can mean that you're in the doghouse and you move to the yard. Yes, that's right. Freedom has degrees to it. He wants to be liberated. Yeah. He's moving to liberation. He's going out of a stage. He's going into another dimension. Dimensions have levels in it. And every time you go to a new level in another dimension, you got to leave something behind. Right. Because what you need to accomplish in the new dimension can't work if you're doing all that old stuff. So he started talking about shedding friends. He started talking about your health is going to be afflicted. He started talking about your time management skills got to go undergo a change. You have to be willing to be a new creature every day. That's a challenge. Everybody's not ready for that responsibility. And when you have to face it, you'll be able to run you away. So when she says, I'm in that church, 3 different occasions zeroed out. You know, she didn't get all the way zeroed out because she still had God. She started off with what he said. I still got life. Thank you, God, for having life. And where she can launch herself out there again. Right. Then you run into people like Dr. J. You run into people like Dr. J. And these are people that put wind beneath your wings. That's right. They help you float and then fly. And you soar off. And when you land hard, you take the lessons that you learn to launch yourself out there again because you have a better support system with you now. I have to leave you on this because it's the thing that's coming up the closest. That is, we have a celebration called Kwanzaa. I'm the lead coordinator. This is my 8th year. It's like herding cats. I'm hoping that you come on out to the Mega Evers Community Center on December 26th through January the 1st, 6 o'clock. Some of you have been auditioning to be speakers at Kwanzaa. You didn't even know it. But we always need inspirational people to bring a different message and a word, depending on what the theme of the night. Kwanzaa is the only celebration that is set up around family and community values, celebrated here in the United States of America. And all mature people have their own holidays and their own flags. And in the Black Power movement era, some black people came together and realized that black people wasn't quite mature. We were actually celebrating the holidays that dealt with our demise. So it's not to tell you that you shouldn't spend time with your family and friends, but it is to say be careful when you're celebrating your own demise. You can't celebrate Thanksgiving unless you change it to help it celebrate you. Because if you celebrate it as it is, you're celebrating a massacre of some people who are your relatives. You can make some adjustments to it where you can deal with your family and friends and give thanks to Almighty God. The God that you should be giving thanks to beyond religion is the one that's inside of you. The God that's inside of you is supposed to be connected to everything outside of you. The greatest connection that any of us can have is the connection with the most divine aspect of ourselves. You cannot just have that in your mind. You have to show that with how you live. Not only how you treat your own physical body temple, but how you treat other people who are around you. Give people hugs, give them a smile, give them a phone call. Do like Dr. Lackey. If you're a sociable person, be sociable. Sacrifice some of your time and your energy because there's no such thing as true love without sacrifice. That's right. I want to thank you, Dr. J, for this opportunity. I wish to continue to be a part of this, and I want to thank every single one of you who have chosen to be an empowerer of other people in their lives because, just like me, I hope you want to grow a forest of the greatest love of all. Thank you for your time. We appreciate you.